Hi everyone, welcome back to my 1973 series. It was 40 years ago that the year 1973 transpired. Coincidentally, I was born that year, so I am turning 40 this year, and I thought this would be a good opportunity for me to look back at some of the movies that came out back then, seeing as how I've seen mostly newer films, movies that have just come out in the last few years, and movies that are just coming out. I want to check out some of this stuff. Some of them I haven't seen, some of them I have seen already, but most of them I haven't. And I'm actually on my third already seen it movie, but next week I'm going to do The Last Detail starring Jack Nicholson, which is a movie that I actually have not seen prior to now. So the movie that I picked for this week was actually a request from one of my commenters. He wanted me to do the film The Holy Mountain, which is directed by Alejandro Jodorowsky. That's how you say his name, yes. He's a bit of a cult figure. He did a film called El Topo, which got him a lot of attention, and he got some support from some very well-known and powerful people in the film industry to make another film. So he made this sort of high-budget, really sort of very metaphorical and symbolic and artsy film, you know, that's heavy on the elaborate sets and costumes, called The Holy Mountain. And the general thrust of the story is you've got this character who is identified in the credits simply as the thief, who bears a striking resemblance to Jesus. He's actually crucified, basically, put up on a cross in his opening minutes, and then he, you know, breaks free and starts running around town, you know, just doing crazy stuff. But eventually he runs into a character called the Alchemist, who's played by Mr. Jodorowsky, the director. And the Alchemist tells him that he wants him to join basically a group of like 8 other people, plus himself, to scale a mountain, a holy mountain, like the kind in legend, to achieve enlightenment. He was talking to them about how the legend of the Holy Mountain is that there's 9 immortal people living on the peak, and if you go up there, they'll give you the knowledge you need to become immortal as well. So he's taking an expedition of 9 other people all the way up to the mountain, basically, to achieve enlightenment. And along the way, he goes through a lot of sort of meditation and different processes. He makes them get rid of all their money and their possessions, shaves their heads, makes them wear, you know, monk's robes and what have you, and has them confront all these uncomfortable aspects of their psyche. There's a whole half-hour sequence where we look at each of the supporting characters, none of whom really are characters. They're more like types. You know, you've got a clothing manufacturer, and you've got a weapons manufacturer, and you've got a toy manufacturer, and a financial advisor, and each one of them is represented by an astrological sign as well for some particular reason. But that's like half an hour of the movie right there, introducing each one of these people. And each one of them has their own environment, their own home, their own workplace, with these elaborate sets and costumes. You know, it's crazy. Now, when I was watching this, I actually hurt my finger on Saturday. And so when I visited the doctor, she prescribed an antibiotic. And I'm not sure if this was the cause of this, but I had this kind of funny, unpleasant taste in my mouth while I was re-screening the movie yesterday. And that was not a good way to watch the movie, because there is a lot of very disturbing and oftentimes disgusting imagery in this movie. A lot of sexual, scatological imagery and humor. Well, maybe not humor so much, but just imagery, basically. Plus, like, really unpleasant images of dead animals, you know, frogs and lizards being blown up in model cities, you know, and dog carcasses that have been skinned, you know. Probably a lot of you don't want to see something like that. The director also seems to have a fascination with people that are missing limbs, disabled in some way. He's got at least 2 people who have no hands or feet, and there's an older gentleman who has a missing eye, and he actually pulls his eye out in camera and hands it to a kid. It's just like, oh, please stop with the grotesquerie after all. I mean, I'm like, you know, saying these people shouldn't be on film, but I mean, it's just there just to freak people out, it seems like, you know. A lot of it is very heavily symbolic. I read a little bit about the film after I watched it, but I tried basically just to approach it from, you know, I'm just going to, you know, take this for what it is and see if I can interpret myself. And I made some notes, and I think I generally kind of understood it. But there was a number of times in which I had to go back and rewatch the movie because I was very close to falling asleep. In fact, I think I watched this movie in like 4 pieces because I just had to lie down and take a nap after a while. I just, you know, couldn't get my head around it after a while. You know, better to take it in small sections like Inland Empire, which I rewatched last year. You know, you take a little bit of a time and you make careful notes notes as to what happened. You could probably understand it. If you watch the whole thing in one shot, you know, you're probably just going to be like, what the hell's happening here? You know, I mean, it's so crazy. Everything is just so weird, you know? And when I first saw this movie back in the 90s, a friend introduced me to it, and I was like, wow, this is really strange, and it's all really weird looking, you know, and everything's just so striking, what have you, and I really didn't think too much about what it meant. But now I can say, yeah, I appreciate it more, I understand it more, but yeah, it's oftentimes unpleasant. There was a nice surprise at the end, which I didn't remember from the first screening. Alejandro Jodorowsky, he has a surprise not only for the audience, but also for the other characters, which was pretty cool. So, there's my review on The Holy Mountain. Of course, I'm accepting requests for movies to review from 1973. Next week, as I said, is going to be The Last Detail, starring Jack Nicholson, which I haven't seen yet, so I'm very much looking forward to that. But please leave me a comment. Let me know if there's another movie from that year. Someone also recommended Jack Lemmon in Save the Tiger. I believe he won Best Actor that year for it, so I'm going to be watching that at some point in the future as well. Thanks very much. Talk to you again soon. Bye.